Good morning, friends. I hope you've had a wonderful weekend. I certainly did. This was the weekend of our Dream Big Girls retreat in Norman, Oklahoma. It was held at the Sullivan Center, which is just right on Lake Thunderbird. And oh, it was so nice and I would say peaceful, and it was peaceful. We had a storm come through, and you know what, people are watching out for us. The manager of the center came and advised us that he would open up the storm shelter, and that we could go down there if we needed to. There's storms coming. There's a supercell coming, and you know what, it just all worked out, and we were fine. It was rainy, and it was nice. We just praised him through the storm, and that was super cool. And so I welcome you this morning, and we'll be getting into the study here in just a moment. I just want to remind you to put your prayer requests in the chat and put your praise reports in the chat. Good morning, Donna. And then just if you got something that you'd like to share or you'd like to add to, I can't always see what everybody is putting in the chat right now, but I go back in and read it later. But if you've got something that you just feel led to share that would add value, just drop it in the chat. We'd like for you to like this page. We'd like for you to go on to YouTube and like Elizabeth Sharon Ann and subscribe to it. And we just want to spread the word. We want people to have hope and just get acquainted with Jesus, or deepen the relationship with Jesus. This is April 25th, and it is a marvelous Monday. And so I think with that, let's get started. Now, although I want to start out with my devotion. Good morning, Rita. My devotion this morning it just fit for the whole weekend. It's a prayer to Jesus, and it says, "Trustworthy Jesus, help me to welcome challenging times as opportunities to trust you." Good morning, Nancy. "I have you beside me and your spirit within me, so no set of circumstances is really too much for me to handle." Remember, we had a storm this weekend. "However, I confess that when the path before me is dotted with difficulties, I usually start measuring my strength against those challenges." And we do that a lot. "Of course, that calculation invariably fills me with anxiety. Without your help, I couldn't make it past the first hurdle." And so as our weekend ended and we finished out with our worship yesterday morning, and people were going home, driving home, wherever they lived, and we had some friends that were flying back to South Texas, and their flights was canceled. And I think that falls into the category of help me to welcome challenging times as opportunities to trust you. The ladies' tickets, the planes were canceled, and it would not be flying that direction until Tuesday, tomorrow. So they started driving. I know they were praying all the way. There were storms rolling down that way too. He was with them, and it was amazing, and they'll continue their journey today, but they had a place to stay last night, and everything worked out good. But see, we have challenging times, and it comes in all different sizes, shapes, or forms. This was a storm. This was a possible tornado. We live in Oklahoma, and so you know what that looks like. We have those kinds of storms. Okay, so and one thing I wanted to read out of James that falls into that is that, good morning, Carrie. She was one of our Dream Big Girls this weekend. James 1:2 Consider it a joy, my brothers, whenever you experience various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance. But endurance must do its complete work so that you may be mature and complete, lacking nothing. See, we have to exercise this. And that way we can show others how to do this too. Because it's amazing whenever you've got this in your heart. All right. So now I'm ready. I'm ready to get started, and I have got 3 Bibles out here today. And so, 4. I have 4. Judges chapter 4 and chapter 5. And so yesterday I got to do the Bible study with Lori Saturday. Elizabeth and Lori did it. So if you didn't get a chance to watch, go back. I mean, we had fun. And when we get together, we want to enjoy each other's company. And it might have been a little silly at times. But you know what? God made all kinds of emotions. And you know what? When your joy is in the Lord, you might giggle and laugh at anything. And that's what we did this weekend. Oh, and I might also add, there was physical healing. There was emotional healing. There was strongholds broken. And all of the people that came that were new said they left changed. And so hopefully you can come to our next one. We will have one this fall in Sand Springs, Oklahoma, and we'll have another one in Norman, Oklahoma. Okay, now then, again, we're going into Judges 4 and 5. And so we talked yesterday about Ehud's death. And, you know, the cycle continues. The Israelites did evil in the Lord's sight. They just couldn't get it figured out, could they? And so the Lord turned them over to King Jabin of Hazor, a Canaanite king. The commander of this army was Sisera. Sisera, who had 900 iron chariots, ruthlessly oppressed Israelites for 20 years. Then the people of Israel cried out to the Lord for help. And so this deal about them having 900 iron chariots is real impressive. That's like the superpower of those days, because not everybody had them. And so what they would do is this was, it might be pulled by 1 horse or 2 horses, but whichever it was, this got them there faster. The Israelites didn't have anything like that. So see, they were on foot. But whenever you see 900 chariots racing to you, that's a little intimidating. What made it even worse is that because, oh man, these are evil people. They would put on the outside of their chariot and their wheel and all of that kind of stuff, like razor sharp knives all around the wheels, all around the outside of their chariots. And then they would just make those horses pull them real fast through all of the people. And so just imagine if you've got all of these Israelites coming out trying to fight or getting ready to fight, and they see them coming, and those knife blades are just glistening in the sun, and that's coming at you. You're getting ready to be just slaughtered. I mean, tons of people at one time. So that's what they're thinking. They're thinking, oh my goodness, what have we got? This is what we've got to, facing us. So here comes Deborah, a prophet. She would sit under the palm of Deborah, and the Israelites would go to her for judgment. And the interesting thing I thought about that was, why not a man? I mean, these are the times that men were more valuable, basically, than the women. But sometimes she may have been bolder. She was really respected. She's had leadership gifts, and not too many people in that day like her rose up and did this. And so let me see my notes here. Deborah took the process of leadership for like respect. And respect, this is kind of an acronym. I'm going to read this really quick. Respect yourself and those with whom you work. She had the respect. People came to her. Exceed the expectations of others. That's the E. She spoke truthfully and honestly with them. She was a prayer warrior. Stand firm on your convictions. You know, sometimes it's really hard because everybody else is doing something and Deborah's going to tell them it's wrong. Possess uncommon security and maturity. She didn't let the little things bother her. She raised above, even though maybe somebody was talking about her or you know, criticizing her hair or whatever she was doing. She didn't care about that. Experience personal success. Leaders can't help others enjoy success unless if they succeeded too. See, she had a resume probably a mile long of successes that she had and great advice that she had given because she helped people resolve issues. Contribute to the success of others. She did everything right in calling the people to battle. And then think ahead of others. We're gonna get started into this, but she didn't simply tell Barak to fight. She gave him the plan. Then she went with him. We'll see. Let's go back on into that. So she sent for Barak, who lived in Kadesh, and she said to him, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, commands you." Now, she was confident in God's word, in God's will, in God's walk, and in God's way. There was no doubt whenever she called this man, because this is a big deal, she told him to call out 10,000 warriors. And I will call out Caesarea, commander of Jabin's army. But Barak, okay, I don't know that, you know, he was necessarily not believing what she had to say or what his personality was, but it seems like that maybe he just didn't quite understand what she was talking about, but he wanted her to go. He said, "If I'll go, but only if you go with me." And so, okay. But like she says here, "I will go with you, but you will receive no honor in this venture, for the Lord's victory over Caesarea will be at the hands of a woman." Well, at that point, we think it is going to be at the hands of Deborah, right? So they went out. But, you know, the Lord goes before us. He, you know, and so wouldn't it have been nice to have seen what that would have been like? Nancy says maybe he doubted a bit. I think he did doubt. This woman is telling him to get 10,000 people and go after them. And here they've got 900 chariots that are fast. It's like the supersonic ship of the desert. And they're coming at us. We're on foot. We have no weapons and they've got everything. So when Sisera was told that Barak was coming, he called for all of his 900 chariots to come. And then Deborah said to Barak, "Get ready. This is the day the Lord will give you victory." And that statement right there is for all of us. We came through a great weekend, a retreat where, like I said, there was a lot of healing. And if we would have read this on Friday, Get ready. This is the day the Lord will give you victory over everything that you have been concerned about, everything that has been a bump in the road for you. Get ready. I know there's things coming at you that's much stronger, but get ready. The Lord has given it to you. So now back to the real reading. This is the day the Lord will give you victory over Sisera, for the Lord is marching ahead of you. So he led them into battle. And it just gets better. Barak chased the chariots and the enemy all the way to this place, killing all of the warriors. Not one was left alive. But here's the fun thing. Sisera ran to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber, the Kenite, because they were on friendly terms. He figured that he could go there and he could hide. She went out to meet Sisera and said to him, "Come into my tent, sir. Come in. Don't be afraid." So he went in and she covered him up with a blanket. "Please give me some water." So she gave him some milk. Man, she comforted him. She helped him hide. Whatever, things he asked for, she gave it to him. And then he says, "Stand at the door, and if anybody comes to ask if I'm here, say no." He fell asleep. And that's when things changed. She crept up to him with a hammer and a tent peg in her hand, and she drove the tent peg through his temple into the ground, so he died. And this is the woman that Deborah was talking about. "I will go with you, but you will receive no honor in this venture, for the Lord's victory over Sisera will be at the hands of a woman." I think that's just a great piece of history that God went ahead of everybody. And he does that today. I mean, that's nothing unique. This is also in today's world. And so on that day, Israel saw God defeat Jabin, the Canaanite king. And from that time on, Israel became stronger. See, they saw God make a way where there was no possible way it could be done. They became stronger and stronger against King Jabin until they finally destroyed him. So then in chapter 5, Deborah and Barak sang a song. And the great thing is, whenever you, as you remember the days of old, or what's, maybe you keep a journal, but see, they use a song of historical nature to sing and praise and sing of how God delivered them through these challenging times. And so this is a history song of all of that, and that would be great for you to jump in there and read and just think about that, because it talks about the call to recount the great victory. I mean, when we have a victory with him, we need to write it down and remember and pass that on to your children and your grandchildren, so they will know how God stepped into your life and he made a way. When things looked gloomy, whenever you had 900 chariots coming at you, armed to the hilt, that God took you through there and you weren't harmed at all. Just like God covered us at this retreat this weekend, and that storm went around us. We got the rain that we needed. The wind blew everything away. I mean, the wind was terrible, but it was what it needed to be to direct that storm to a different direction. Let's go on into Luke 22:35 through 53. Then Jesus asked them, "When I sent you out to preach the good news and you did not have money, a traveler's bag, or an extra pair of sandals, did you need anything?" "No," they replied. But now he said, "Take your money and a traveler's bag, and if you don't have a sword, Sell your cloak and buy one, for the time has come for this prophecy about me to be fulfilled. He was counted among the rebels. Yes, everything written about me by the prophets will come true. See, he was letting them know that this time would be different. Since he wouldn't be with them, it's going to be hard. You're going to be rejected. You're going to be imprisoned. You're going to be haled before the courts, persecuted. But for some, your word will be received. We have to keep moving forward in God's word. He says and tells us to go, therefore, and preach the gospel. He tells us to give words of encouragement to people. He tells us to shine the light of Jesus on everybody. And so they accompanied by the disciples, Jesus left the upstairs room and went as usual to the Mount of Olives. There he told them, pray that you will not be given into temptation. So have you thought about just also adding that to your morning prayer? We should. In one of the commentaries, and I just, boy, I really liked it. It was talking about the trials we face can either be a test that strengthens us or a temptation that brings us down. Now, James 1:13, I was going to read that to you. 13 through 14 tells us that God does not tempt anyone to evil. Scripture tells us that God tests his servants, just like he did Job. Job 1:8 through 12. This is to refine us. It's not to destroy us. It's to strengthen our faith. So he walked away about a stone's throw, and he knelt down and prayed. Father, if you are willing, please take this suffering away from me. Yet I want your will to be done, not mine. Remember how Jesus taught us to pray on that Lord's Prayer or that disciples' prayer? Thy will be done. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And give us this day our daily bread. Then an angel from heaven appeared and strengthened him as he was praying. And I think I saw where this was the only time that it's mentioned that an angel comes down to strengthen him. And, you know, Jesus, being who he was, needed strength because of his humanly body that he was in. After that, he was strengthened. Possibly he was strengthened so he could pray more fervently, because see what it says? He prayed more fervently, and he was in such agony of spirit that his sweat fell to the ground like great drops of blood. Jesus prayed to resist temptation. What could possibly his temptation have been? All I can think of is that, you know, that he could be tempted to just go on up to heaven and say, I'm not going to do this. I don't know what else his temptation would have been. But Jesus' prayer life stems from his perfect humanity. His example shows us how we should be totally dependent on God. First of all, Jesus prayed out of a sense of need. Jesus prayed intimately to the Father. Jesus prayed honestly, presenting his desires before the Father. He fell to his knees. Then in Matthew 26:39, it also says, then he went on to his face. Jesus prayed submissively, seeking the Father's will above his own. The result of Jesus' prayer was that he was strengthened to endure victoriously. See, he knew exactly what he was facing. They didn't, he did. At last he stood up and returned to the disciples, only to find them asleep, exhausted from grief. Why are you sleeping? He asked them. Get up and pray so that you will not give in to temptation. They didn't quite understand that, did they? But even as Jesus said this, a crowd approached, led by Judas. Judas walked over to greet him with a kiss. Some call that the kiss of death. But Jesus said, Judas, would you betray the Son of Man with a kiss? When the other disciples just saw what was about to happen, they exclaimed, Lord, should we fight? We brought the swords. And one of them struck the high priest's slave, slashing off his ear. And Jesus said, no more of this. And he touched the man's ear and healed him. See, right in the last part of his life, he was still protecting his disciples. This would be Peter that did that. And because Peter did that, Jesus knew this, how Peter was. He knew his personality type. He created him. He knew what he was like. And he knew that he would possibly, well, I shouldn't say possibly, he would hang on the cross just like Jesus knew he would if this man wasn't healed. Jesus was still tending to his people. And then Jesus spoke to the leading priests, the captains of the temple guard, and everybody. Am I some dangerous revolutionary that you would come with swords and clubs to arrest me? Why didn't you arrest me in the temple? Isn't it cool that he's always asking them questions? He's always got the perfect response to what's going on in a situation. That's why we should always go to him. That my thought process is finite. I only know what I know based on what I've read and how I've lived and my experiences. Jesus has been around. There's no beginning. He's been around. And so he knew how to address everything. I was there every day, he said, but this is your moment, the time when the power of darkness reigns. See, the power of darkness, it's whenever they came in the dark, it's so intimidating to everybody else, because really and truly, I mean, Judas came with hundreds of people, but in the dark, you might think there's millions of people because you can't see where the end is. And it just, your fear of the unknown grows bigger and bigger every moment that you're trying to look out there into the dark. And that power of darkness pulls you in to that moment of being unsure of yourself, afraid, did I really have that revelation this weekend? Did I really get healed? I really don't know. This is Monday. That happens Saturday. That happens Sunday. But go back and pray that you will not give in to temptation, because whatever your situation is today, Jesus healed you yesterday. He healed you last month. He healed you a year ago. Don't doubt that. Pray that you won't give into the temptation of thinking, did I really? Is that what really happened? I still have lights in my face. Now then, it's really dark in here. Okay, so Psalms 94, absolute wonderful chapter. Oh Lord, the God of vengeance, oh God of vengeance, let your glorious justice shine forth. And I like this because, it's vengeance is not ours. Let go of that. Whenever you feel like that you've got somebody that has just said something mean to you. Maybe they've hurt you. Maybe they've hurt somebody in your family. And you're trying to figure out how to get them back, because see, we see in the Bible days that, they repaid evil for evil. But we look into the New Testament days, and Jesus said, don't do that. And so when you see this, when you read chapters like 94, Psalms 94, he's the one in charge of that. We don't have to worry about that. Just give it to him. That's going to take so much stress off of your list of things I got to worry about, because we don't have to worry about anything. Joyful are those you discipline. You give them relief from troubled times. Who will protect me from the wicked? I'm just hopping around in here. I cried out, I'm slipping, but your unfailing love, O Lord, supported me. Your relentless love, O Lord. Lord, you created me in the beginning, and you love the thought of putting everything about me together, that you made me this way. You took this personality, you put it into me. You took this physical form and put it into me. You did every little cell and everything about my body. You did this because I was on your mind. So there's no reason for me to add doubts to my mind, because he didn't put those doubts in my mind. The Lord is my fortress. My God is the mighty rock where I hide. Psalms 94 is one that you need to read this morning. Proverbs 14, 3-4. A fool's proud talk becomes a rod that beats him, but the words of the wise keep them safe. See, the words of the wise. Like I say, we had a storm come through this weekend, and we're not ignorant of what can happen in a tornado situation, but we are prayer warriors, and we did have an amazing prayer time. We did have a place to go in the event we needed to go. But you know what? As everything was coming at us, it started going around us. And you know what? You don't have to go anywhere when that storm is all of a sudden it hit that barrier that God had put in place, and it moved it around our retreat center, and it moved it on around. And we didn't have to go outside. It was awesome. And so as you go out about the rest of your day, just think about God's blessings and how he has just been with you through thick and thin. Pray about that you will not give in to temptation. You know what? That can come in many different types of prayers. Maybe it's for health reasons, that, this is to help correct the way, your food choices. Maybe this is I don't want to go walk today because I'm tired because of the long weekend. No, just don't give in to temptation. Do what you need to do today, because you started out in reading your Bible and prayer. And I love you. I will see you tomorrow. You have a great day, and let's come back and we will read in Judges 6, 1-40, where we will start off. All right. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.